Kai, have I got you on the other line then, my friend?
Hello. How are
Hi
we
there.
doing? You okay?
Doing well, thanks. Doing well. We've got a lot to cover. Where do you want to start?
Well, shall we start a week ago with the Brexit result? And we shall start there and move up to today's. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, like I said, we actually recorded a Brexit thing when we heard the result. But unfortunately, there was issues with collecting that file. But, yeah, I mean, I was surprised we got through. I was surprised that they allowed the vote to go against the New World Order regime and the things that they want to do.
Yeah, especially to be a close call, like they said. I thought if it was going to be a close call, then it would be a repeat of Scotland. It would be against.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, my thoughts on it is they did have a little bit of voting fraud going on, but it was probably only 3-4%. They wanted to keep it tight, but we probably had a landslide of vote for against the EU, and hence why it still popped in under the 52-48 margin. But it surprised me at all if they had it the other way, but we just had so many votes that they didn't quite achieve their goals.
Well, I think what everybody's got to also remember is that the organisations that does the counting and the collections and all the rest of it, it's part of the system. It's owned by, I believe it's a Tory MP that owns the company that actually deals with all that. Yeah. It's behind closed doors. It's not necessarily there for public scrutiny. So we've got to take their trust with all of this. And in this day and age, I think that's a big sort of like pill to take anyway, frankly.
I think the main thing that the Brexit has done, Paul, which is a real shame, what should have been a time for awakening minds and realisation of what's actually going on, it's actually caused a massive division in the UK population now, and through Europe, to be fair. Yeah. And what baffles me at this point is Scotland's stance, and them asking for governorship from a different foreign land than the one they've been used to. Why isn't Scotland thinking of their own government, their own lands? Why do they need to be ruled from somebody else? Whether that be London or Brussels, it makes no difference. Scotland should be looking at their own parliament.
Yeah, it is weird.
Back up Adrian's Wall if they want. I fully condone that. And, govern yourselves. Why you're asking for more governorship it absolutely baffles me. And it shows me that they are blinded by their hatred of London into from the frying pan into the fire. That's all I can say that they're doing.
This is it.
I just cannot believe that anybody doesn't realise what this EU is now. It's a completely fascist, corrupt dictatorship, and no one that I've asked have been able to name one of the presidents that run the EU. They don't even know how many presidents run the EU. So
I know, it's mental.
These people, and I've actually fallen out with a lot of good friends over this Brexit thing, and people are still so sick of the Tory or the parliamentary corruption we've got now that they're willing to go and run into a dictatorship like that. It completely baffles me.
Yeah. These same people aren't seeing the fact that the whole sort of like party political theatricals that we get here at the moment is all just a staged show anyway. And ultimately, this is what they're leading people towards. If they get to the point where they're so dissatisfied and fed up with our own clowns, they would happily run to Europe and accept those unelected sort of like once they're in, that's it. You've got no sort of like potential for it.
That's right. And I think right now the powers that be are sort of panicking because the vote that happened for us to leave, as far as I'm concerned, was an awakening vote. I take no credit away from that. That was people waking up and saying no more. And this is what we should be concentrating back on. I'm not a racist. Paul, you're not a racist. We love humans. We love everybody. And we want the world to be in peace. But we all need to, there's no reason why we can't all go back to our own gardens, have our own currencies, have our own laws under the one universal law, do no harm. Stop these wars, these restrictions, sanctions, and all this crap that we've got no right to put on other countries. And just bugger off and sort our own houses out before we try and clean up the rest of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very true, very
It's an
true.
absolute joke.
But like you say, though, I mean, it has sent ripples through various other countries that have sort of like, I think they've at least looked to their people and listened to their people, and the people are referring back of saying we don't want to be in Europe. Whether it's going to go any further than that, I don't know. I think ultimately what's going to happen is that they will wait to see if Britain ever really does get out of Europe.
Well, this is the thing. It's all smoke and mirrors now, isn't it? They're trying to pull a grease on us. You know, they voted to get out, and look, they just stuck their fingers up at them and told them to get on with it. And they're pretty much trying to do the same thing here. We've had a lot of distractions over the past week or so. Article 50 is getting pushed to the background, and now we've got new leader debates and leader, what am I looking for, votes to find, and we're going to get a whole new bunch of leaders in the UK, and none of them elected, none of them, you know, all a bunch of fascist pigs. Theresa May is the most corrupt piece of crap on the planet. Her husband is a G4S shareholder, so she's privatising the police force. He's coining it in. And you all know who own G4S, don't you? It's a Zionist on form. Not a Jewish on form, a Zionist on form. Let me be sure.
I know, but how that gets through sort of conflicts of interest and what have you is beyond belief. Which only goes to show that sort of like, you know, the system is in on itself. Do you know what I mean?
That's a job.
The only people not getting this are the general public. Until it's too late.
Until it's too late, and this is a thing. And what we've got to be careful of, we took a major step to the fallacy called democracy 2 weeks ago, and we've got to keep the momentum going. And I suggest everybody should be getting together, and we need a new party that can completely reform the UK parliamentary system. We shouldn't be accepting less. We shouldn't be accepting any of the muppets from the 4 or 5 parties we've got now. They all need to go. Every MP is corrupt as far as I'm concerned. We need a new system, political reform. Let's keep the pressure up. Don't accept anything less.
Do you think we can ever do that when we've got the Crown and the Queen holding sort of like office as she does?
I see it as we're stripping away layers. And, you know, if you look at the layers we got rid of the...
Because the problem we've got in this country is that the monarch holds the ultimate power. And, you know, the monarch can disband Parliament any time she wanted if it was that bad. And she could
does she still have that power since the Lisbon Treaty?
Well, no, this is it.
The EU has that power. They can
you're absolutely right.
But does she still have that power? I don't know if
I think she signed away that. Well, you're absolutely right in the final part of the Lisbon Treaty, 97, I think it was, that she effectively gave that away. But the point being, you're right there, is that the EU can dissolve any British parliamentary party
at any point. So are they making our government look so corrupt and so crap that that's the step they're going to take in a year or two?
Yeah,
it's possibly part of the agenda, isn't it?
It could be, yeah.
How can these MPs, these employees of ours, be such a bunch of... you couldn't make it up. You really couldn't make it up. You've got our old Prime Minister, he wasn't mine, but he's into bestiality. He's as big a war criminal as any of the rest. Daddy's offshore tax returns and... all the rest of it, it's an absolute joke, and you couldn't make it up. You could not.
No, exactly. Yeah. This is it.
You know, remember, these people are our employees. You know.
Well, yeah, they did the switcheroo on that one, though, some time ago, really, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. We've now all got to bow to their demands. I don't think so. They're all getting richer, killing the rest of us, abusing our children, stealing our land, stealing our public assets, which our grandfathers built on the promise that they would have free NHS, free gas, free electric, free water, and, you know, one generation later, stealing it all off us.
Exactly.
You know, and people can't see this. You know, they are stealing all the public assets and putting them in the fat cat mates' pockets.
People are being bankrupted these days for sort of like not being able to pay their gas or their electric or their water bills. It's ridiculous.
Look at America the past couple of days. 2 people have been killed. One for stealing CDs. One for having a tail light out. Yeah.
Wow.
And whereas we've got people like Tony Blair, and I don't see this MSM lies that 170,000 people died in Iraq. That's complete and utter nonsense. It's more like 2 million people.
Millions, absolutely.
4 million displaced. And that's not to go the legacy and generations of deformed children, etc., they've got coming because of the depleted uranium deposits thrown on them during the war.
Oh yeah, they probably fucked up that country. It's absolutely buggered.
Yeah,
It's ruined in so many ways for generations and generations to
yeah.
come.
And for that
Uh,
that piece of crap to stand there yesterday in front of us after the
uh,
whitewash. I mean, to be
mm,
fair, on Chilcott, I mean, he couldn't whitewash it anymore. It was pretty rudimental what he had to say. And but it's just a farce that these people, our employees,
yeah,
can get away with this, and it's got to stop. People have got to stand up. We
exactly.
need the organisation. It's a complete whitewash. It's crap.
Well, so the Chilcott report. I mean, what they've had 10 plus years to basically sit down and collude as to sort of how to write this and who to blame and who to sort of like let off. And yes, it's damning, but it's done in such a way that nobody really sort of like takes account for anything.
No, that's right. But they're going to prosecute soldiers.
Well, there's the potential for that.
Orders, you know.
Yeah.
And so, what does this say to our fine young, albeit manipulated troops?
Yeah.
What does that say for them? You take an order, you go do that job, and then the country comes back, abandons you, doesn't give you any housing, doesn't give you any benefits,
Mm-hmm.
and then it wants to send you to jail for the orders that you took.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean,
But I like to think that this could be a sting in the toe. You know, this could be the wake-up call for a lot of those servicemen that are in a position to actually realise, too scared at the moment to stand up and say no to an unlawful order that they're allowed to refuse. But
I mean, you
fear
know,
of intimidation and all the rest of it, they won't. But if you've got a situation now where you've got so many troops that are in fear of this happening, they will. They will take trade action.
I must say I disagree. I mean, I'm ex-military, and the whole training, the whole time you're in there, it's how well you take your orders. Unfortunately, when you're built on a practice like that, they're never not going to take those orders.
Will that still transpose in the field though, when somebody's sort of like put in that position of sort of like doing something that just can't accept anymore?
I think if there's personal situations, if you're told to perhaps mow down, you know, certain situations, obviously, you know, are different. But then look at Chelsea Manning, you know, they came out against the drone strikes or whatever happened. That was Iraq, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was.
War crimes, and look what happens to them. You know, it's and completely lawfully going against an order. And but again, this is a system in place. You know, we get sent to jail, we get shot for victimless crimes.
Well, this is why whistleblowers are treated the way they are, isn't
exactly.
it? It's sending fear to everybody else.
Meanwhile, our employees that cause it all and line the pockets from it all are quaffing champagne, sniffing cocaine, and fiddling with kiddies tonight, you know.
Exactly.
And it's all happy days. But that's the system we allow to carry on.
Very true.
I think we've only got ourselves to blame. And but this is the point. When you know and you're awake, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to switch on the TV, close your front door, have a glass of wine and forget about it all? Or are you going to say, not in my name. I am not leaving this world to my children.
Exactly.
It's a personal choice.
It is. It is, and I think it's one that a lot of people feel strongly about. But it's whether or not they have the conviction, to be able to sort of like make that sort of like step.
I mean, again, it's cognitive dissonance, isn't it? And you know, it's like I say, closing the door, or people say, "What can I do about it? What about little me? What about this? Do you know if you put your tax into an escrow account and go under tax rebellion, because under the UN Charter, our government has committed terrorism, genocide, and all sorts of manner of things. You are lawfully entitled to not pay that tax.
Or you're obligated not to pay that tax.
Yeah, you're obligated. Really. And if you do pay that tax, you become a accomplice in the crime. Yeah. So what I would tell all of you people, and people say to me, well, how can we do this if we're PAYE? Go up to the company accountant. It's plain and simple. Go up to the company accountant and say, this is account details. My tax goes in there from now on because I am under tax rebellion against a tyrannical government. It's plain and simple. The company accountant cannot stop you doing it, and you are completely unprosecutable. So I say to thee, stop paying the tax. Council tax a whole lot, put it into an escrow account. This is the way that you get away with it, or you can't be prosecuted, so that the money's sitting there if and when the government sorts the crap out, which they never will.
Yeah.
But, it's all under tax rebellion. And if we could all join forces like that, we would bring this
Yeah.
host on within days.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah, yeah. It would be a momentary sort of like thing before the system falls at that stage. Just knowing that the funding's been cut off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a complete farce. I mean, look.
I mean,
Go on.
this system lives on the basis of that the resources and the assets that it has. It's like the Crown, etc. It has phenomenal resources and phenomenal assets, but it can't liquefy any of these quick enough. It lives on our blood and our spirit on a day-to-day basis. And if we take that away, then it will die very, very quickly.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, going back to our analogy of a grocer shop, if we provide a better service over there, people will naturally come to it. That's what everybody's got to do. We've got to get organised.
Yeah.
There's no point in, can we just stick to one major thing? If we can get rid of these tyrants that run the whole world, absolutely everything else will fall into place. There's not one thing that won't fall into place. We've just got to get rid of these employees that are making everybody's life hell. I tell you what, Paul, you and I are the same. If there's somebody in Thailand, if there's somebody in Turkey, if there's anybody in the world, they're all welcome in my house. I'm sure I've been to Turkey. I've been to Syria. It was a beautiful place, and the people were so hospitable. It wasn't true. And I know I'd be welcome in many houses out there. People just want to get on with bringing up their own families. They don't want to be robbed. They don't want to be abused. They don't want their children sent to war, and they don't want to be bombed. So get rid of these tyrants that are dividing and conquering us all, starting race wars and austerity. They're stealing our money and calling it austerity.
This is it. They're just
Exactly.
oppressing people and sort of like asset stripping nations left, right, and centre, isn't it?
Let's get rid of these people. The fracking will fall into place. We'll stop selling GMO produce. We'll stop vaccinating our kids. We'll stop. Everything else will fall into place. We'll find out if the Earth's bloody flat or not. But that's okay.
Exactly.
But let's concentrate. Let's all get behind one thing and make it work. Get rid of these fuckers once and for all.
Well, it's starting to try and make some change, isn't it? And like you say, if you make the change, you be the change you want to be. It's inspiring to others, and it's also just showing others that there is a better way of us living. We can do it, and it's down to the balance of people, really, at the end of the day.
People have got to realise right now we are at war. It's good versus evil. It's not in a religious context. That's none of that. It's just in a human context. Humans don't kill other humans. Humans don't inflict pain on other humans. Our employees are not humans. They all need to go to jail. They all need to go rebuild Gaza. They all need to go rebuild Syria. They need to pay for what they've done.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that's the perfect note to finish on there, Kai.
Indeed. I think we rounded up the Brexit farce, and don't let that go, people. Keep going.
No, absolutely. Keep pressure on because, like you say, it's also like hot air at the moment to try and sort of say, okay, you've had the vote now. We're just going to lose it in sort of like smoke and sort of like hot water. People will forget about it and then it'll just drift away. In the meantime, the bureaucrats and so forth in Europe are working out ways of how to sort of like penalise us. So yes, watch that space and be ready to put some action into place as well.
Indeed, and don't fall for anything that they might pull out in the next couple of weeks. Mass distraction, perhaps a big terrorist event, big false flag, whatever you want to call it. Don't remember wars are for rich people to pocket from. So don't get dissuaded if something happens between Russia and China, America, whatever. Don't be distracted by it.
That's their MO, isn't it?
That is their MO, and this would be the perfect time for them to pull out some rubbish like that and blast it all over our newspapers, our corrupt newspapers, our corrupt news channels, and so forth. But keep to the message, people. Stay strong, get organised, be focused, don't get distracted.
Spot on. Nice one, mate. Okay, speak soon.
Bye bye, mate.